Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, consider subscribing because I post new writing videos every week. Today, I'm giving you my 22 favorite quotes from famous writers. Before we jump in, I wanted to give a shout out to Story Arts on their new line of Commit to Lit t-shirts. This shirt, let me stand up. It is seriously so soft, and 100% of the profits from the purchase of these shirts go to support Lit World, which is an organization so children worldwide can learn to read and write and create, and it's 100% of the profits. That's amazing. They just launched this line, let me scoot up, 2 days ago, so go check it out. Links are down below, as well as some links for more information if you are interested. All right, let's jump in with this week's video. Our first topic here is quality and quantity, and starting this list off is one of my favorite pieces of advice to give, and it's also one people do not like hearing. Number one, if you want to be a writer, you must do two things above all else: read a lot and write a lot. Stephen King said this. You simply cannot learn to be a better writer if you do not read and write. If you're reading a book and you're floored by something, figure out why. Learn as you read and put that knowledge to use by practicing it in your writing. Following on to that idea, number two, quantity produces quality. If you only write a few things, you're doomed. Ray Bradbury. Bradbury? I know some of you won't like this quote, but here's what I take away from it. You can't get to the quality unless you trudge through the quantity. It takes time and practice for most great writers to become great, so don't be afraid if you end up scratching or rewriting more than half of your novel, because we've all done it. You're not alone, and those words are not wasted. You needed them to figure out what didn't work so you could find what did. The next quote is one I have up on my wall. You can't see, maybe you can't see it. Number three, if it sounds like writing, rewrite it. Elmore Leonard. If at any point your prose pulls your reader out of the story, then it needs to be written unless you did it intentionally. Let your reader get lost in your story. Let them. James Patterson comes in with this next one that I have seen floating around quite a lot, and that is number four. I'm always pretending that I'm sitting across from somebody, I'm telling them a story, and I don't want them to get up until I finished. Anyone ever binge watched a whole season of a show on Netflix in a single day? The writers of those shows intentionally do that by using some mindset magic that also applies to chapters. We are conditioned to make it to the end of the episode or the chapter, so make it impossible for the viewer to stop watching when they reach the end. If we look at chapters like emotional peaks, I've said this before, but the middle of the chapter is where the character is going to solve a new problem, so there's kind of a bit of a lull. The end of the chapter or the episode is where you sucker punch the reader and you force them to keep reading so that they can catch their breath. This next piece of advice is one that I use all the time. Number five, if you are using dialogue, say it aloud as you write it. Only then will it have the sound of speech. John Steinbeck said this. Every time I'm editing, sometimes even when I'm writing, I say dialogue aloud. This makes it sound more realistic, but it also helps me imagine the character's mannerisms and their delivery. So it makes it personal to that character. Helps me realize if something if it's not the way the character would say it. Ernest Hemingway comes in for number six with one of the most well-known quotes about writing. Write drunk, edit sober. This is something I think everybody should do, just without alcohol. Wait, what? Write drunk pretty much means write without fear. Don't worry about nitpicking your words or whether X is really something Y character would do. Don't worry about what people would think. Remove that fear so you can just write, because you can't edit a blank page. Our next topic is the tough stuff. And the way Kurt Vonnegut phrased this quote really speaks to me. Number seven, be a sadist. No matter how sweet and innocent your leading characters, make awful things happen to them in order that the reader may see what they are made of. We've all heard that we need to make our characters suffer, but we do it so readers can learn more about the characters without us spelling it out. It's like showing and not telling for the whole story. All right, this next quote is kind of a frustrating one. Number 8, easy reading is damn hard writing. Nathaniel Hawthorne. We know it's hard to write a book, but it's even harder to write a book that doesn't sound written. What? You've got to keep the reader both interested and immersed. That's a lofty goal, but reading and practicing will make it easier as you continue on in your career. You can do it. Most of us try to throw a wide blanket when trying to figure out your target audience. Another great and funny quote by Kurt Vonnegut is number 9, write to please just one person. If you open a window and make love to the world, so to speak, your story will get pneumonia or other things. It is unavoidable. Some people will not like your story or your writing or your characters. Choose a target audience and then market to that audience. Don't ask people to review your book for free if it's not something they would ordinarily read, like a genre. But you're gonna have people that won't like your story. Get over it. Now, I'm not going for the kill your darlings quote, but number 10 is from Elmore Leonard, and that is, I try to leave out the parts that people skip. Mark Dawson uses a similar technique by writing what he's interested in and skipping the parts in his outline he doesn't feel motivated at the time to write. So once he's done with all the fun scenes that he has, he analyzes at the end why he wasn't feeling it for those other scenes. If you don't want to write it, chances are your readers won't want to read it. I don't use that method, but if that's your cup of tea. Our next theme is to believe in yourself. Number 11, the worst enemy to creativity is self-doubt. Sylvia Plath. Writing sucks sometimes, and writers are often extremely hard on themselves. Don't stand in your own way and let your creativity just flourish. Let it go, especially when you're writing your first draft. Y'all might not like this one, but I'm doing it because I love you. Number 12, you can't wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with a club. Jack London. Sometimes inspiration will strike you, but the rest of the time you need to be the one doing the striking. Don't use the I'm not feeling inspired as an excuse not to write. Don't make excuses. This next one's a long one from the book The Anatomy of Story by John Truby. Number 13, to explore yourself, to have a chance to write something that may change your life, you have to get some data on who you are. And you have to get it outside of you, in front of you, so you can study it from a distance. This is so true of journaling as well, but it's also true of writing. Creating something from thin air takes energy, but getting it out so you can study it is the only way that you can make it better. Like I said, can't edit a blank page. If you've ever missed a deadline, this next one's for you. Number 14, I love deadlines. I love the whooshing noise they make as they go by. Douglas Adams. Eventually, it happens to all of us. You will miss a deadline one day. You will do it. Or you'll just about kill yourself to make it, which I think we've all also done. Second to last topic here is all the feels. And let's start off with number 15 by Robert Frost. No tears in the writer, no tears in the reader, no surprise in the writer, no surprise in the reader. You may not always get emotional when you're writing, but hopefully you feel something. I do this all the time, and I nearly made myself cry just yesterday. Yes. Number 16, technique holds a reader from sentence to sentence, but only content will stay in his mind. Joyce Carol Oates said that one. Don't get too carried away with technique when you're drafting. You can spend hours trying to find the perfect word, but if your story sucks, no amount of perfect words is gonna save it. Number 17, words have no power to impress the mind without the exquisite horror of their reality. Edgar Allen Poe. I'm not even going to follow this one up with anything because it's just so amazing. I think I'm actually going to put this quote somewhere on my wall or somewhere because it's amazing. For those worried about writing their one great idea but not doing it justice and then never having another great idea to write about, this one is for you. A lot of us have felt this way before. Number 18, ideas are like rabbits. You get a couple and learn how to handle them, and pretty soon you got a dozen. John Steinbeck. Loosely, I think I paraphrased a little bit. Trust me, you will have more ideas. I was worried about this years ago, and now I have too many ideas. Our last topic is the end. That's actually what it's called. Here are some parting thoughts on writing. Number 19, when you can't create, you can work. Henry Miller. This is especially true for self-publishers. It's true for all publishers. when there's so much that you can be doing. Even when you're not inspired, write or market yourself or find an editor or get your website designed. You got stuff to do. Tina Fey comes in for number 20. You have to try your hardest to be at the top of your game and improve every joke until the last possible second, and then you have to let it go. You can't be that kid standing at the top of a water slide overthinking it. You have to let people see what you wrote. It hurts. It's scary. It's nerve-wracking, but you have to let it go. My husband is reading my novel right now, and I cringe every time I see my book in his hands. Even though I'm proud of it, it still hurts. Similarly, number 21, there is no real ending. It's just the place where you stop the story. Frank Herbert. This doesn't just apply to your story, but to your editing of said story. You can edit forever, but eventually you have to stop yourself and let it go. Last but not least, I'm leaving you with something that may contradict all of my videos ever, but is something that I believe, and I'm pretty sure I've said it before. Number 22 by George Orwell. Break any of these rules sooner than say anything outright barbarous. These quotes are just pieces of advice. Listen to them if you want, don't if you don't agree. There is no one way to write a novel. There's no magic formula, which is why it's important to constantly learn and to improve your own process. All right, that's all I have for y'all today. I hope this video was super duper helpful. Make sure you go check out Story Art's new Commit to Lit t-shirts if you want to support a great cause. It's really amazing. I'm so glad they reached out to me, and this shirt is like so comfy. I love it. It's soft. It's amazing. Purchase links for my book, The Elysian Prophecy, are down below, so go check that out. Be sure to subscribe to my channel because I post new writing videos every week, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it because it supports my channel. Until next week, bye guys.